Hey, Mrparka here for episode or week 11. I actually have a lot of movies to review for you, so I'm going to make this go as fast as possible. The first one I have is Stormy Monday from Arrow Films. This is actually one of their crime films they're releasing. And this is actually by the director of LA Confidential. This is like his first feature film. This stars Tommy Lee Jones, Sean Bean, and Melanie Griffin. I had never seen this movie. I actually hadn't heard much about it, and I was a little lukewarm on it. It actually has Sting in it as well, but it is a very interesting movie. Arrow doesn't really turn out crap. They won't release something unless it's interesting. We have a story here that follows this American kind of a business crime boss, played by Tommy Lee Jones, who does a wonderful job as always. He's coming to Britain to try to, American it up and buy some businesses and change some things. Sting runs this music kind of jazz club, and he obviously doesn't want to sell. Sean Bean's a guy who's in town who gets hired by Sting to kind of clean up and watch this Polish jazz band that's hanging around. And Melanie Griffin works for Tommy Lee Jones. Sean Bean and Melanie Griffin become entangled in this weird kind of love relationship, and soon Sean Bean knows he's on to Tommy Lee Jones' scheme because a couple of thugs are going to beat up Sting, and he overhears it. This kind of creates this weird turmoil between everybody, and this kind of strange love triangle, I guess to say, between Melanie, Tommy, and Sean Bean. What's unique about the movie is it's not super realistic. It's not super gritty. The whole thing feels kind of surreal at moments. Looks kind of soft, dreamy. And there's a strange jazz kind of music playing throughout. It's not an action-packed movie here or there. And it is filled with some somewhat weird kind of zany characters. What I thought was kind of cool is I spotted Rachel from Nightbreed in here in a completely silent but very memorable role. And she's also in Hellraiser 2. So it was kind of unique. Tommy Lee Jones has some real wonderful lines. He's very intimidating, and from the stories on set, it seemed like he was actually intimidating there as well. There's a commentary where the director and moderator talk about the film. That's really interesting. He talks about his jazz background, why he incorporated it. So you get this weird kind of a unique movie that you see jazz and crime films mixed. It takes place in London, and I guess it's America kind of pushing its way in and kind of overtaking it. It's definitely a movie of coincidence with the two lovebirds, and there's some weird theories about the movie in the commentary. One thing that it is very tragic at the end and almost very upsetting actually, but one thing that I did notice the second time around was the car accident in the beginning is a band, and that plays into it later. And I didn't notice it. I can't believe I didn't notice that, but that's really cool. So you do kind of have to pay attention in this one for sure. But there's some cool, unique stuff. I'm not a huge fan of it. There's a fight scene in the rain with guns and everything, and I thought that was kind of a little sloppy looking, and then you find out why, because the coverage was kind of cut short. There is a interview with a film historian or a huge fan of the movie on here, and he talks about locations and whatnot and shows some of them. There's a character actor in here named James Cosmo who plays one of the thugs, and during his scene he's trying to intimidate Sting along with another thug. It gets real weird and surreal, and he starts like kind of bending. You can actually see him, like it seems like the frame is kind of moving and whatnot. It gets really weird. They cut a picture of Sting's family and it bleeds. So like that scene was a little bit too weird for the movie, but it's actually the most enjoyable scene. And that character, James Cosmo, although his role is very small, he's the highlight to me. He's just intense and creepy and weird. To be brutally honest, I never thought Melanie Griffith. Every movie I saw her in, I couldn't remember her. And this one, I don't think she's bad, but I don't think she's particularly great either. Tommy Lee Jones shines in this, is what I'd say, and James Cosmo. Sean Bean he's always solid, but it looks pretty good and has a nice commentary. They did what they could with it. They put enough features on here. I think it's worth a recommend for sure if you like crime films and you like a little unique stuff. And it's nothing like the what's the one with Bob Hoskins, Long Good Friday, which is gritty and rough, but it does have its dramatic moments, and I think it's worth checking out.
And I did invent this very nasty contraption for breaking arms. All by myself.
Maybe we can discuss some kind of cooperation. Stormy Monday isn't so much a film about plot. The actual plot of the film is quite thin, quite straightforward. It's much more a film about place, about location, about mood, atmosphere.
What do you want?
I want you. Stormy Monday.
Katie, Katie, Katie. I don't have to tell you what kind of trouble you're in, do I?
Cleaning person wanted. But one of the bloke had said so.
Farewell Blues.
What'd you say?
Farewell Blues. Eddie Condon, Wild Bill Davison, Dave Tuff.
Who was on bass?
Jim Lanigan?
Wrong. Jack Leslie. Hello, Finney Key Club.
The next one here is from Aero Academy, and it is Terror in a Texas Town. This is, I believe, a 1958 Western. I had not seen this movie. I put it in, and I was immediately intrigued. The movie actually starts with the ending, and it comes back to it, so you're waiting to get back to that. This is a story about an underdog. This is a story about justice. This is a story about hard times in the frontier and, dying with dignity, and it's really good. What we have here is this this evil, corrupt businessman, this big fat, kind of just evil son of a bitch, is running this town, and he wants this land from a bunch of poor farmers. He says he has claim to the land. He hires this goon, well, a few goons, but this one main mean gunslinger, and who has lost part of his hand, so he's kind of on his way out, aging, and him and his wife come in, and he's supposed to intimidate these farmers and do what's necessary to get them to sign their deeds over. He ends up killing a man, and the guy's son shows up from Sweden, George Hansen, and he's a great character. When he actually enters the town is probably the best scene. He has an interaction with the gunslinger, and he doesn't know who the gunslinger is. And the gunslinger has him at a disadvantage because he's the one who killed his father, and he has to tell him that his father has passed. But the emotion in George's face when he finds out his father is dead, and he traveled all this way for nothing. Well, not necessarily nothing, and he's not going to see his father. Is really disheartening and sad. But by the end of the movie, it's about people finding courage and doing the right thing, and getting justice, not necessarily revenge. I don't want to say doing the right thing, but it's a movie. Why it's really good is because even the side characters, even the bad guys, they have their stories, their moments, and they're three-dimensional characters instead of just throwing these two-dimensional cardboard cutouts. You root for the good guy, but you also have some sympathy for the bad guy. He knows his time is coming and whatnot. And the loop around story is really good as well. How it ends, it starts in the ending. It goes by very quick. It's only an 80-minute movie, and I enjoyed the hell out of every minute. And it's really cool because they incorporate his background, his Swedish background, whaling and stuff. So him and his father carried around this spear, which is really cool. There's only a couple little interviews under here, a video essay and an introduction by a film historian, but I think it's worth checking out. I was really pleasantly surprised with it. I hadn't heard much about it, but I figured it would be pretty cool if Aero Academy is gonna release it. But yeah, a good Western movie.
I've ever met anyone like him before.
That's because you've never seen death walking around in the shape of a man before. That's right. Death. It's in his blood.
Why do you stay with a man like this?
I stay with him because I'm what I am. I stay with him because no other man would have me. I stay with him because as low as I am, I can turn around and see him and remember there's somebody lower.
all came here to see blood. Why don't you bring them a little closer? Close so they can see it, huh? Just one step, just close enough so you can get a fair chance with that meat hook.
The next one we have is Lust of the Vampire Girls. Yeah, this one said that, this is from MVD, it said that it was a 70s exploitation style European horror movie. I was like, cool, man, are we going to get something like G. Roland or Jess Franco, or are we going to get something completely crazy, like just because it involves Nazis and vampires, we're going to get something like, I know Ilsa's not European, but Ilsa or something weird like that, and that's not what we get here. Lust of the Vampire Girls follows this very dislikable, boring, kind of weird character whose girlfriend gets abducted into this cult, and he wants to find her, finds out that this evil Nazi is turning him to vampires. See, on paper, it does sound like a classic exploitation movie, and there is moments of surreal camera work that would suggest it as well, or surreal edited scenes, but for the rest of it, there's not really. It's very talky. It's way too talky for an exploitation movie, and it's not visually stunning like Jess Franco would be, or anybody like that. It's not necessarily visually stunning enough, and it's too talky, and there's not enough blood, and there's one scene of nudity. To claim, I don't know who decided to put the 70s exploitation factor on there, but it's not that. It doesn't feel like that at all, except just by keywords on the back of the box. The acting in the movie, not to be cruel or anything, it's pretty rough. And the dialogue's rough as well. The camera work's pretty sloppy too at points. It's on the guy, and then it'll start to coast down, and it'll be like this. His head will be off frame for a second. I don't know if that's intentional or just, they only had the one take. But I struggled to get through it. I did not enjoy any of the characters. There wasn't enough, and the plot was fun. It should have been fun, but it just didn't play out very well. The acting was pretty shoddy, and there wasn't enough nudity or blood to keep you from forgetting about the problems of the movie. And there was a storyboard on the disc. I don't want to be too cruel, but it's just not for me, and I had a rough time getting through it. The next one here is a Jack Hill movie from Arrow Films. This is Coffy, blaxploitation movie. Believe it or not, I've never seen Coffy. It's terrible. There's some weak spots in my film knowledge for sure. I think everybody has that kind of deal. But Coffy, it's a Jack Hill movie. Jack Hill did Swinging Cheerleaders, Pit Stop, Spider Baby, or The Maddest Story Ever Told. So I was familiar with some of his work. I had seen some things. And he's a big exploitation director. I love Pam Grier. I've seen her from stuff like Class of 1999, Something Wicked, This Way Comes, Jackie Brown, Ghost of Mars. Every time Pam Grier appears, you're gonna get something good. So Coffy is no different. Basically, Pam Grier's character is kind of posing as a prostitute to cut out the crime and kill the people who are doing it. The movie sets up ridiculous amounts of exploitation set pieces. There's a scene where she fights all the other call girls or prostitutes, and it's during this big party. Boobs are flying out, razor blades are put in hair, and it's a wonderful exploitative scene, and it's a lot of fun. It's ridiculous. There's gratuitous violence in here as well, with a shotgun blast to the face in the beginning when she's taking out a drug pusher. you'll see Sid Hagen here as this character named Omar, who plays this ruthless, kind of evil, mean-spirited thug. He's really good in it. You'll recognize the big guy from Blue Sunshine, the senator, the governor's bodyguard. He's in here as a goon. So there's lots going on. The only thing that really hurts Coffy is the main bad guy is not as strong as the goons and the other side characters. There's 2 people from RoboCop in this movie. If you can spot them, congratulations. I had to look them up, and I was like, oh my god, they're both in RoboCop, and I knew exactly who they were. But there's a lot of fun things happening in here. There's some explosions. The movie's balls to the walls fun. Really dug it. And Pam Grier's so cool, such a badass. And I love the vigilante style stuff. Obviously, I'm a big Charles Bronson fan. I like the vigilante, the William Lustig, some of those movies as well. So I'm a big vigilante fan, and Coffy's one of the best. I feel bad for not seeing it. The theme music is actually hilarious as well. But there's some real cruel stuff in here that will make your jaw drop at points, especially when they drag somebody behind a car. But, the blood is paint looking, but it still gets to you. And it's a great movie. I would highly recommend Coffy. I can't believe I hadn't seen it. I'm kind of embarrassed. But, what are you going to do?
This is the end of your rotten life, you motherfucking dope pusher!
This was violent!
Take her out and kill her.
Look, I ain't gonna shoot you.
Yeah, you'll notice the effect of the jacket wrapped around the arm. You see, we're showing that she knows her way around a knife fight, and she's not somebody to fool with.
So I just put this up in front of the stuntman's face so she could blast him right in the face, which normally you could never do that because you'd burn the guy's face off.
Sid Haig said I had this great element of silence, and if you're real quiet, the camera stays on you.
The vast majority of the blaxploitation films, including movies like Coffy and Foxy Brown, are really just a whole lot of fun.
So you want to play with knives, huh?
That's a present for my little sister.
The next one, had to watch Foxy Brown. Right after I watched Coffy, this is from Arrow as well, had to watch Foxy Brown. Man, oh man, was I ever happy I watched Foxy Brown. Again, walk of shame. Sorry, I haven't seen it before. I feel bad, I'm a piece of crap. But yeah, Foxy Brown's even better than Coffy. This time around, Foxy Brown's getting revenge for her cop boyfriend who went undercover. The bad guys are better. The exploitation set pieces are better. And this one you could tell, obviously, modern directors definitely got inspiration from Foxy Brown and Jack Hill. That's obvious, I don't even want to say it, but everybody knows Quentin Tarantino, obviously inspired by those movies. But there's a scene in here where... which is kind of an exploitation trope. And this movie actually feels like it, I was going to say, where they take her to this abandoned place, and there's these 2 thugs that are going to sleep with her and get her hooked on heroin. And these guys are just the greasiest, dirtiest guys ever. And what happens to them is one of my favorite moments of all time. But regardless of that, there's a lot of actually profane stuff that's said in here that actually, for some reason, it's funny that this blaxploitation movie, that people will be like, oh, that's just, nonsense. This movie has so much profane stuff in it that they say in this movie, and people spew these monologues, and it feels real. It feels like it's from today. And I can really appreciate that. And, with the big heroin epidemic coming around here and everywhere around now, it's just that watching Foxy Brown, take some drug pushers out, feels really cathartic, and I enjoyed the hell out of it. But yeah, there's fights in here as well. The bad guys are great and real sleazy. Sid Haig again pops up as a pilot. But I enjoyed the hell out of this one even more. I thought everything was bigger, everything was better, everything was more well acted, everybody was better in it. And there's some cool James Bond opening stuff. There's an interview with Sid Haig and commentary on both these discs. I listened to the Sid Haig commentary. They talk about his trip over in the Philippines and working with Jack Hill. But these are both, I'm sure more people have said better things about them, but from what I could say, they're well worth your money. You should pick them up. I know that Olive released them here, and Arrow released them over in the UK.
The only way to handle those smart-ass hoods is with a bullet in the gut.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Sister, I think what you're asking for is revenge.
What follows was cut out of the film by the French.
She had that presence about her. At some point in time, she was going to be a big star.
I was cast for parts in those movies, and I would walk around my chest out.
There is a reason why I'm called the Hammer.
This is crazy. This is insane.
I was the engine for the movie, the character.
I think Fred Williamson's big coup is that he knew how to market himself.
That's the slavery of hard dope, man. You dig?
I sure do.
The next one here, I don't have a case. It is Death-Scort Service 2 by Sean Donohue, The Naked Dead. Yeah, I was a fan of Death-Scort Service 1. This is by the Sleazebox guys, so you know what you're getting. Death-Scort Service 1 always made me feel dirty, like I watched like New York Ripper or something like that along those lines, but on a super low budget. The killings are continuing. This time, it feels a lot like the last one. I don't think it's as particular as good as the first one, but there is a scene. There's a scene in here so brutal, so disgusting. I couldn't believe it. The music's good because it's a lot of the same score. This movie makes you feel like you just walked out of a really dirty, sleazy strip joint from hell. And you're probably going to die soon. But that's how Death-Scort Service 2 made me feel after I watched it. There's a killer going around hacking and slashing call girls. The movie is borderline pornographic at times. I believe there is a real blowjob involving Bob Glazer. At least some definitely some touching of the mouth on there. There's tons and tons of nudity, tons of sleaze, tons of sex, and there's some familiar faces in here as always. You see, Eight the Chosen One as a pimp. He's really good in it. He's fun in it, having a good time. Alberto Giovanni, I believe. I'm sorry, I mispronounced your name. You're in tons of stuff. I can't remember your last name, but it starts with the G. He pops up and as a small cameo. Bob Glazer, of course. Crystal Pixie Adams is in here. Bringing back her old role. Some of the special effects sometimes look shoddy, but there's one in here, like I said, where I almost gagged involving a woman being disemboweled. I'm not going to give anything else away, but it's really gross. I'm not sure how much I like the movie, but man, it is freaking disgusting. Like I said, it's a continuation of the first movie. There's a twist. You'll probably guess who the killer is or some sort of relation to the other killer. You'll figure it out. If you're even thinking about that. But there are some deleted scenes on the disc, which I wish were in there because they are comedic, and the movie is actually a lot less comedic than the first one, I'd say. I feel like this one, they're both super sleazy. Actually, I don't remember much comedy in either of them, but those scenes probably would have lightened the mood just a little bit, and I think it needed the lightened mood, but there are deleted scenes with 8 and Alberto, and they're funny stuff, where he kind of gets the riff here and there. Yeah, but if you're looking for lots of nudity, moments that seem to come out of Playboy where there's just stripping for like minutes and minutes, like turning into a music video, then you'll want to check out Death-Scort Service 2. It is definitely super sleazy, super gross, and very, very disgusting.
Hello?
I'd like a date tonight.
The last one we have here is Ben Wheatley's Free Fire. I'm hot and cold on Ben Wheatley. I'm going to say it. I know a lot of people love Ben Wheatley. I saw Sightseers. I love Sightseers. I saw Field in England. I hated it. I don't want to be that guy, but I did not like it. I was like, so Purgatory for an hour and a half? That's what's going on here. I mean, it was well acted and well shot, but it's just, it drug on for me. But Free Fire, this is definitely inspired by the, I guess the 70s British crime movies or shootout movies, in particular action movies, and he wanted to make kind of a smaller scale action movie, which is really cool. What I will say about Free Fire, it's got a really good cast, it's got some cool characters. I don't love all of them, and it's in one location, which is also impressive, and there's tons of hard work in this movie. These guys put in tons of hard work, from the actors, from the directors, the filmmakers, all practical squibs, all practical gunshots going around in concrete here and there. Some really cool, like I said, action set pieces happening in here. Some dialogue's priceless. My only one real complaint about the movie is I think the ending's a little downhearted or downbeat for the whole entire movie. Some of the characters in here feel like cartoons, like Shadow Copley, I believe you say his name, from District 9, and the South African guy. He feels straight out of a cartoon. He's having a good time. There's lots of cool guns, like I said, but they all have this set. It takes place in the 70s. They all have these crazy hairdos and whatnot. Cillian Murphy is always amazing. He's great in this. Brie Larson's in it as well, and some other familiar faces, a lot of them dressed behind crazy facial hair. I think it's enjoyable. I think a lot of people get a kick out of it, and if you don't enjoy the movie, I think you should be able to respect it regardless for all the hard work that went in there. I know some people say just because it was hard doesn't mean it's good. It is good, but just because it was hard on top of being good, I really appreciate it. People, I don't want to go all revenant. Well, it was cold outside, guys. We were outside. But, all those squibs going off must have been a nightmare. All these big actors or famous actors or good actors crawling on the ground in dirt and mud the whole shoot, because they had to be there every day according to the special features. But I enjoyed it. I would give it a recommend, and I need to see his other movies, but those are the ones I've actually have seen. But the three I mentioned, including Free Fire. But I'd check out Free Fire.
Here he is.
1,000 apologies. Hate it when people are tardy. It's good to meet you boys. Thanks for coming out. You didn't masturbate before you got here, did you?
You what?
I told you I don't want to work with anybody who's carrying a loaded weapon.
Fuck the small talk. Let's buy some guns, eh?
You're on a different level now. The guy who represents this merchandise, his lawn is bigger than your whole fucking country.
Justine, as gorgeous as ever. Well, you've put on a bit of weight.
Fuck off.
Check out the merch.
That's not what he ordered.
Fuck, really?
We ordered M16s, different weapon.
I'm not running a fucking pizza delivery service.
Keep your shit together.
You want the weapons or you don't want the weapons?
Here we go. Oh, now we're cooking.
We'd like to leave with our money. And I'm sure that you boys would like to leave with the weapons. Fuck! Go for the case. What? You're a bird. They're not going to shoot the bird.
Shit, I'm sorry.
Oh, you little asshole!
Here we go. Look out for those who are on the proud tonight. When it's singing down, I'll have my fun. I can chew anything I find.
Did you cheaters bring a sniper?
So that's what a fucking brain looks like.
Whoa, fuck! Hey, party Marte. Come on, man.
It's a big roll.
I like your cardboard armor.
Protection from infection. Shut. Fuck. It's a big roll.
Tell me who hired you right now!
Yeah, it's a big roll.
It was...
You've got two choices. One, you distract him and I leave.
What?
Or two, you kill all of these motherfuckers and I leave. It's a big roll.
You seem like a nice girl.
We can't all be nice girls.
The fuck?
Yeah, that's all the movies I have to review. Let's get into the shout out. I want to give a shout out to Cody Sucks Art. The link will be below. It's Cody Sucks and then Arts. I think he spells the arts with a Z. It's on Instagram. Cody Lee Harden's actually the artist who does it. He does like kind of satirical stuff, really, really gross stuff. So if you're offended, don't look at it. But some of the stuff he does makes my jaw drop, and I feel like I'm pretty much not easily shocked or anything. But check him out. He sells some prints. He's a really cool guy. He's been a friend of mine for years. He used to do YouTube reviews. His links and stuff will be below for Instagram. So give him a follow and send him a message if you want to buy some of his prints, especially if you like the satirical stuff. He'll do like serial killers. I'm trying to think of some of the stuff he did. If you guys know who Carl Panzram, one of his artists, and he's infamous for saying the line, come over here and hang me. I could hang 10 men in the time it takes you to hang one, or something along those lines. And he changes the lines to make it look like a love over. Come over and give me a kiss. I could kiss 10 men by the time. It's just ridiculous, kind of really satirical, gross stuff, but it's really cool at the same time. Okay, let's get into the contest. This is for the Psychotica, I believe it is. Hardbox. I'm going to draw your name, guys. So whatever falls out is what you're getting. If one falls out before I pull one out, that's what's going on. Who do we got? Brian Gulster. Let me see if it'll show up there. Let's see. Well, regardless, it is Brian Gulster. Congratulations, buddy. Shoot me your address and I will get it to you ASAP. The next one we have here is for the contest. I mean, sorry about that. I should be more, I should explain more. To win this, you need to do 3 things. Like the Screaming Toilet Facebook, subscribe to Mrparka's YouTube channel, and leave a comment under this Screaming Toilet page underneath the comments. Not on the Facebook page, on the actual page. But this is Heated Vengeance, DVD from Code Red. Not seen this one, but I had a couple copies of it, and I figured, why not? Might get a Blu-ray release, it might not, but you're winning it for free, so don't worry about it. I think I'll go into the Q&A right now, actually. Or, do you guys want the update? You want the update. Let's do the update. First, we have a DVD, Una de Zombies. I've not seen this. It looks like a comedy. It looks fun. My friend Jason Lindbergh sent it to me. Thanks a lot, buddy. I'll probably review this in the future. Then we have the Blu-rays. We have Her Name Was Torment 2. I actually had a role in this. This is Dustin Wade Mills' movie, sequel to the big one. He gave me one. I was in the movie, so all the other orders have gone out, whatnot. But yeah, it's just special effects by Marcus Cook. Gory, crazy, surreal, nasty. If you've seen the first one, this one's kind of the up version of that one. But French Connection 2 with Gene Hackman. Cry of a Prostitute by Code Red with Henry Silva. I gotta fly down here. Butcher, Baker, Nightmare Maker from Code Red. Had to have that when they released it on Blu-ray. I really love this movie, aka Night Warning, with Susan Tyrrell, who's amazing. And Bo Stepson's in it too. And then we have The Great Alligator, which is by Sergio Martino by Code Red. I love this movie too. I love my big Italian shark and Jaws movies. I did a whole week of them, even though some of them got taken down. But that's it. That's the update. Let me get into the Q&A. There's only a couple questions. If you post after, like I missed your question, just post it in the next one, or I'll come back and check and double check every time if I see I got it. Only 2 questions. Tim Evans, who is your favorite actor in horror movies? And then all-time favorite actor. Oh, man. Favorite actor in horror movies. I don't know if I have one. Like, my favorite Scream Queen is Leanna Quigley. Love her. And there's a lot of actors and actresses I like, but I don't know if there's any particular horror actor. Does Michael Rooker count? I mean, he popped up in The Dark Half and Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer and Slither. If he counts, he's my favorite. And my favorite actor, so many actors I love. I mostly like character actors or smaller bit actors. I watch a lot of their stuff like Nicholas Worth or Michael Ironside. But like big A-list guys, I like the personalities like Arnold Schwarzenegger and Charles Bronson. But I also can appreciate the guys who can just blend in and disappear like Gary Oldman. So I don't know, really. There's so many good actors and actresses out there as well, like crazy, like Susan Tyrrell, like I just mentioned. She's great. Pam Grier's great. It's just too many to name. I don't really have a personal favorite anymore. But when I was young, I loved Harvey Keitel, Bill Paxton, usual guys that everybody, De Niro, everybody loves those guys. Telly Savalas, just tons and tons of people. I love lots of guys. Maximine Angelman, I'm French and I'd like to have your opinion about French horror films. I have the feeling that Americans really enjoy them. Do you have any idea why? What's your own opinion about French horror flicks and what's your favorite? I think that Americans enjoy French horror flicks because they're well made and they're full of suspense, but they also incorporate a lot of brutal elements, so it's almost like the best of both worlds, like the movie Inside. It's so suspenseful and so scary that it doesn't need the gore and brutal moments, but it does it anyways. Just, I don't know, but it's almost overkill. They're super intense. How do I feel about French horror films? I mean, when we had the big French horror wave in, I watched some of those. Of course, like Inside, Frontiers, Martyrs, and High Tension are the big four. I like stuff like Criminal Lovers as well, which I believe is French, but that's kind of like a thriller horror movie. That movie's great. But I actually like French horror movies. I love High Tension style, don't like the twist. Frontiers, I think, is a smorgasbord, and I think it steals from too much to be very good. But I think that Martyrs is a masterpiece. I think it's one of the only movies that scared the shit out of me as an adult. Literally, like, when certain scenes happen in Martyrs, I looked around my room in panic while watching it. This is years ago. I was still living at home. Looked around in panic. And, Inside is just an amazing, awesome, suspenseful movie. So I enjoy the French horror films that I have seen. I believe Calvaire is Belgium, but there's some other ones like around that area too. But I haven't seen them all. But I'm interested in pretty much all the stuff that comes out because most of the stuff I've seen has been worth watching. That's it for the actual video segment, but stay tuned. There'll be an interview with indie actor Brandon Salkill, who popped up in stuff like Puppet. He's a voice in Puppet Monster Massacre, Zombie A-Hole, Heart Attack, Invalid, Halloween Spookies. He's in tons and tons of stuff. He's a good friend of mine. He's a Dustin Mills regular, and I hope the interview's good. You guys have a good one, and thank you for watching.